It's Christine Wilson and Saphira Galoob, and you'll thank us later. Tune in every week and hang out with us because we're a lot of fun.
And no topics off the record, we decided. We are open to talking about everything together with a bit of a sense of humor, a lot of self-forgiveness, a lot of grace, and always being wiser on the other end. Bring it on, girls and boys.
You know what? You'll thank me later that I'm telling you about this. You'll thank me. They're going to hate us, Saphira. It's going to be nuts. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Hi,
It's
Courtney.
May, and I'm still wearing a quilted vest. I would just like to say that out loud. It's May the 29th, and I'm wearing a quilted vest. What does that mean?
All week long, I've just been wearing shorts and T-shirts and shivering.
You're just in denial.
I'm in denial. I'm over it. Well, you know, I just got into shorts for the first time in 20 years. I'm not taking.
Well, you got to wear them.
Courtney's in a sweatshirt. She knows what's going on
Okay.
today.
Yeah.
No dummy.
You're under this.
You guys, this morning when I woke up, I sent a GIF on Slack of this cat, this little kitten, like with its hair crazy and it looks all frazzled. That was me this morning. I lost my Aura ring. I know where it went. I took out the recycling. I'm 99% sure it fell into the recycling bin and the trash men took it.
No. Oh, no.
And I think I can prove my addiction to my Aura ring. It's like nothing has been right since. My sleep is off. My waking up is off.
Isn't there does it not have a where am I?
Yeah, you know where it was last? Right where my trash cans were at 8:16 Tuesday morning, which means the trash guys took it away at 8:16 Tuesday.
Oh, honey, I'm so
And I searched all around. It's not like on the ground and and it's like actually, do you know how you like go back and you kind of can almost envision it happening, and like it happened to my subconscious saw it, but my conscious self didn't see it happening.
so sorry.
Anyway, so long story short, I was like, I'm going to put on makeup. I'm going to do my hair. I'm going to drink my cup of coffee. I'm going to pull my shit together. And anyway, I'm doing better. But I was wearing the same sweatshirt and sweatpants for like the last 48 hours. I was like, I think I'm ripe.
That's right. That is okay. Welcome to post-COVID. We're still in Zoom. Oh,
Well, when
God,
you work from home,
no, it's so hard to get up and get cute every day.
fine. And I made a TikTok yesterday. And in my TikTok, I needed to be in my UVA sweatshirt and UVA sweatpants. So I was like, I might as well just wear them another day because it was a TikTok for my students for my digital marketing class this summer. And it was basically about how ridiculous and over the top and obnoxious I am with my UVA shit. So
Yeah.
I had to have the
You
bag.
don't have a choice. They are so going to UVA. Your kids are.
Oh, well, fingers crossed. We'll see. But anyway, I mean, I just told you I went to I haven't been to Virginia Tech yet, but I went to JMU and I loved it. And Courtney went to JMU and I know she loved it.
Yeah.
Right, Courtney?
Yeah, a lot of my Lucas friends are going to JMU. They're super excited about it.
I mean,
And
obviously,
Virginia Tech.
I'm biased, but I'll never forget I worked with like a college advisor, and even he said, he's like, there's something in the water in Harrisonburg. There's a reason that people love that school. So look, believe me, I get it that you know, there's a part of you that of course wants him to have the EVA experience, but as you know, someone else who could maybe give you a peace of mind, like they would be so happy at JMU. So
I felt like
they're in
that
good
was
hands.
everyone was happy.
Yeah.
There is something so nice to being in an environment where everyone feels upbeat and happy.
Yeah.
And that was what I took from it. I already knew the campus. I already knew I'd been there. I partied there. I did it all. But just to go and see it in a fresh light as an adult and to see the happiness, what a nice, fresh thing. So anyway, I just feel like we have lots of great choices. So it'll all be fine. It'll all be fine. But I made a TikTok. I used CapCut. And I decided to stop torturing myself with CapCut on my phone. So CapCut, Saphira, is like a video editing thing that's actually owned by ByteDance, which is the company that owns TikTok. So the whole idea is that you're editing on their platform for their other platform. So, but I did it on my desktop and I realized old ladies need a big screen. It was, but I had that moment. I was looking, there's one thing I wanted to do that I did not totally figure out how to do, and I just let it be. But I looked at Oj and I was like, I'm humbled and I'm having a moment of reflection on when I get frustrated with people because they don't understand technology and pick it up quickly. And I'm humbled right now at like how hard this was. Like, there were moments where, I mean, and once I got it, but there were these moments where I was like, I don't even know where to start.
That's right.
I
It's not
couldn't figure out how
intuitive.
to get
It's
to the
not
beginning.
intuitive. I always thought I would be the perfect person. Like if you want to make something dummy proof,
Yeah.
sit me in front of it and say, okay, what do you see? I don't see the 3 dots in the top right corner. It's
Oh,
not
pretty. I
obvious.
taught her about the 3 dots.
Yeah, it's not obvious to me. Whatever's obvious to people who are fluent in technology, that is not obvious to me.
She was like, why would I know to click the 3 dots? And I was like, well, because the 3 dots are always something. Like, they're on a lot of things. And she was like, well, now I'll know to look for 3 dots, but nobody told me to look for 3 dots.
3 dots was to me, I had no idea what that was. That was like the 3 dot. There's more here.
I love it. Um, well, we did a little bit of brainstorming over the past week on topics and things we wanted to do. And there was a topic that Courtney and Nicole posed that I thought was really great. And so I'm going to let Courtney kick us off, Saphira.
Yeah. So we were chatting about this and wanted to know and hear from the both of you things or experiences that you wished you started or did sooner. And that could be anything as small as like skincare or as big as, traveling. So anything within that range, we're curious to hear what you guys think.
Well, I would just say right off the bat, my number one would be, and I did do it, but then I kind of screwed it up, but retirement, saving for retirement. The longer that money has to sit, the more you're going to have at the end. And I did, like I remember being 21 and having the person in our HR department be like, you should put as much as you can in. And I was like, yeah, but then I won't be able to like eat, So it was always that balance of like, um, and so, yeah, I think in running your own business becomes a time where you really, really don't necessarily put the money aside for retirement because you're like, I want to keep the business running. I need the money now. So I know that's such a boring answer, but I mean, God, it's like they run those calculations. Like if you just put $100 a month in when you're in your 20s, what does that look like when you're 65 versus you waited till you were 30 to start? Like huge difference. So I don't know, Sphere, were you good about that from the beginning?
100% no.
Yeah.
And not only that, when I made a decision to start my business, we sold our house. So I had some capital from that and we used it to start the belly dance business. So that was a big sunk cost. And for those of
Yeah.
you who don't know about business, that means that I poured this money in and I never got it back.
Yeah.
In addition to like taking, we'll call it $150,000 to put in the business that I never returned, I also didn't put a penny in my retirement for 13 years.
Yeah.
So, it's one thing to like live hand to mouth when you have your own business. That is only one calculation. I did not put money in my son's college fund. I didn't put money in my retirement. I used money that I could have put in retirement. And so I think this whole idea, do what you love and the money will follow. Well, maybe, but is there a way to do what you love while you are also supporting your family? And the third thing is setting you up for a really, solid, post 50s, early 60s situation. Because I am totally making up for it now. And it's super stressful.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that too. And I will say, when you look at the number of people that are entrepreneurs, the ones that become the bajillionaires or the big payoff or the sell the business are so few and far between from the ones who run the family bodega for their entire lives and pay the bills just barely, or who have a service-based business, which isn't really something you can sell. It's and I'm not being negative about entrepreneurship, but I think what I'm saying is it needs to be a calculation that you think about.
Comprehensive. It's comprehensive. So the other thing that I would say that, we started doing now, but I wish I would have done earlier is, and some folks that have more like fastidious personalities do this, but know where your money goes. So, for example, my husband runs kind of a QuickBooks for our family. And I remember the first time he showed me the cumulative dollar figure of eating in restaurants.
Yeah.
And it's one thing when you're like, oh, this month we spent, whatever. I mean, in DC, you can't even go to a restaurant for under 40, $50 a person, right?
Right.
I mean, and that's like the diner.
Right.
I'm not talking about like a nice meal with wine. I'm talking about brunch on Sundays. But when you see that cumulative, you're like, $15,000. Like, and then you think about what the alternative is. So really learning to eat at home and to use ingredients that give you a good eating experience, both from a health perspective and enjoyment perspective, but is not this kind of lazy break the bank over time. That is the other thing, because, I'm not, I don't consider myself a foodie or not. My relationship with spending versus my relationship with enjoyment in a restaurant, those two things are more in line now.
Yeah.
And I would much rather, frankly, have chili 4 nights a week, you know?
And then have one really nice dinner out instead
Yeah,
of
or
5
one,
orders.
exactly, whether it's takeout or whatever, but just getting your head around that, that was like a big shocker to me.
I think, I'm trying to think of another one that I, like, in my 20s just buried my head in the sand with, but I think building a routine for exercise, because exercise for me has, like, come and gone, and it's like spurts. And I think if I had started earlier with a routine that was not so over the top,
Yeah,
that was really something I could maintain 15 minutes, 30 minutes every day,
yeah,
but something that I could do easily in my home, I think it would be less of a battle now, because so many of my habits are so ingrained. And so then, but like what I did in my 20s is I paid for the most expensive gym and the trainer, or I took the boutique classes. And it was always like fad things that then like that thing went away. And then it was like, oh, well, I mean, jazzercise or whatever of the past is pretty much gone. And I overspent and overcommitted, and everything became something that I wore out my interest in. So I think those could have been on top of this basic, simple something that involved some stretching. Oh my God, I wish I had done stretching sooner and like my sister just stretches every day, whether she takes a yoga class or just does it. And like, I feel like when you stand up now and your back is like, oh, and you like, you know, the stretching, something simple, and then maybe just some simple weights or little simple cardio. I wish I had built that routine earlier. Trying to do it now, and I'm hit or miss. I would say I get like 3 days a week. But I think if I had done that early on and not gone whole hog, nothing,
yeah,
I'd be in a better consistent health shape
yeah,
now.
yeah. And I'm going to go even one step more vulnerable. And we've actually talked about this is, if you look at my weight over
Yeah.
the years, I allowed denial to be the kind of dominant emotion as it related to my weight. So I would get to where I wanted to be, but then I would ignore it. And then
Mhm.
I would find myself way, way, way up, way, way up, way, way up. And now, and I'm sure there are people who think this is wrong. This works for me. I weigh every day. And the
Mhm.
reason I weigh every day is that I then can kind of modulate, because it's a whole lot easier to drop 2 pounds than it is to drop 20.
Right.
Oh, and if you just like, okay, this next week I've got to get back down to, or I've got to get to, and so it's definitely, particularly with people who are like early, like if you are in your 20s now or your 30s and you like your weight, you cannot presume that that is going to maintain. You have to actively monitor and maintain. And maintenance is not a passive exercise, is what I want to say.
Yeah.
Maintenance is an active engagement, because it has to do with, consumption, it has to do with activity and all of those things. And so I wish I would have had a more honest relationship of what the implications about not being active in my maintenance was.
Yeah. Well, I have another one that's super easy. And I think the great thing is Courtney and Nicole won't have this issue, but like we did not talk about skincare in our 20s. I think I owned one over the counter clear and easy or clean and easy moisturizer. I did not put on SPF every day. I'm like all the things that I'm battling now, the wrinkles and the age spots and the things like that, they were all avoidable. And I can't say it's just because there was an ignorance, but it wasn't talked about like it is now.
Yeah.
There were people out there that I actually had a friend in high school that was very fair skinned, and she was always like SPF and skincare. And I remember like in our early 30s, she was like, I don't have wrinkles because you guys were all out tanning and I wasn't. And I was like, oh shit, she's right. Um, but it's a lot harder to fix those mistakes, in your 40s and 50s,
And more expensive. It's
and
more
more
expensive.
expensive than just buying.
Yeah.
Now I don't necessarily believe you have to buy the most expensive skincare to have good skin. I
Right.
think you can buy a lot of things that are very affordable at the drugstore that are just as good as the ones that are 80 or $90 and would accomplish what we're trying to get to in the end. Um, but I would absolutely take off your makeup after a night of drinking. As shitty as it feels, like I probably went to bed in makeup hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times between college and my 20s. Like,
Yeah.
woke up in the morning with eyes crusted shut and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So skincare, yeah, and all over your body. Like, my mom got melanoma on her hand. My mom, the one who always stressed wearing SPF and putting on sunscreen, she got melanoma on her hand. Like, do you guys even think to put sunscreen on your hands? Yeah. Your hands are exposed to the sun all the time. Your hands are never covered. The rest of your body might be covered at some point, but your hands aren't. Put on sunscreen on your hands. Um, so those kinds of things, yeah, I didn't even think about. These all feel like restraint things, like I'm trying to think of things that are fun that I really should have done when I was younger. I think you brought up travel. I think one of the things is I traveled so much in my 20s because of work that I felt like I scratched that itch, but a lot of my friends didn't because they just didn't have the budget or the money to do it, which actually might be a reason to say seek out a job before you're married or have kids or feel tied down in a way where you don't want to travel, but seek out something that allows you to travel. I mean, I did all 50 states by the time I was 29 because of work. Now, did I go to some real shithole places? Yes, but some of those shithole places were kind of interesting and I learned a little bit about myself. Um, but yeah, so I felt like I got to travel quite a bit. Saphira, you've prioritized travel your whole life, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I have this huge curiosity. So I have something also that's a little bit, I don't want to use the word deep, but you guys know me. I'm always it's a philosophy major in college for a reason, I guess. So I think early on and I noticed this as I'm even thinking back with conversations that I had with friends. If you were in your 20s or early 30s, take a moment. And I use the word moment because I don't want it to be like a long, extraordinary, exercise. I don't really care what you say about like, this is the job I want, this is the career I want, this is the expertise I want. But think about a more basic, what kind of life do I want? Do I want to wake up in the morning on my own time, or do I want to have an alarm clock? When I show up, do I want to be in an office or do I want to have flexibility to work in a cafe? Do I want to have to clock in, or do I want to have a more organic control of my hours? Like, think about all of those things, and then every single decision that you make when you envision your life, ask whether or not that decision supports that vision or not. Because what can very quickly happen, like let's say you go to an expensive school and then you have your debt to pay off, but the only way you can pay off your debt is to work in this law firm. But then you develop the expertise as a lawyer. But and then you only get the job there. I mean, your ability to kind of construct your life when things are less expensive and you have more fluidity in your early 20s and 30s is so much easier than if you already had 10 years in a career with an expertise in a location that you don't like. So being really intentional about envisioning how you perceive your life and
Yeah.
and where you would envision to live. And in that sense, particularly if you're in your late 20s, early 30s, one of the things that I always struggled with, particularly with my stepkids, is trying to convey to them that you can still make major shifts all the way up until 40. It's a little harder after 40, but late 20s is really no different than early 20s. Early 30s is really no different than 20s. And you can make huge shifts. And I would say that people who are, I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan, or people who make really big decisions, really doing those big risk items early on. And a big risk item,
Yes.
I've always wanted to live in X, Y, or Z, or I've always wanted to envision what it would be like to, and then fill in the blank. Like, the idea that you like, oh, but I'm already 30 and I have to be in my career, that is bullshit. And that is wrong. And that is what somebody who's in their early 30s says because they do not know any different. I can't go, here's one. I don't like what I did. I can't go back to school because I'm almost 40. That is bullshit. You can start and you can go to dental school, or you can go to orthodontist school, or you can go to med school. My husband always wanted to go to med school. And in his 30s, he said, I'm too old and too late. He could have totally gone to med school in his 30s,
Yes.
finished when he was 40 and had 20-year career. Instead, he was like, it's too late, it's too late, it's too late, it's too late. That is absolutely misaligned with the way reality works. Don't
That's one of the biggest things I emphasize when I'm down at UVA, and I usually get put on like an entrepreneur panel. What do when you don't have kids, a mortgage, all of that to risk, and you are willing to be scrappy, that's the time to take the risks. Take the risks when it doesn't necessarily impact anyone but you, and do those big things. Try those things. Ronan came home the other day and he like threw his laptop on the table and he goes, I don't want to look at a laptop. I don't want to sit inside. I want to be outside. I want to like smell fresh air. I want to move my body. I hate 8 hours a day of like school and homework. And I was like, I want you to record this right now because you're going to go to college. You're going to get caught up in this business class. You're going to get caught up in the interviews. You're going to get caught up in I have to have a job offer.
And the money.
And the money. And
Yeah.
you're going to forget that really what you want to do is go to Colorado and be a river guide.
Yeah.
And you're going to get caught up in this bullshit like the rest of us. And you didn't have to do that. And right now, this feeling you're feeling will be the rest of your life if you take that business job with a laptop.
Yeah. And I will say the other piece about that is debt.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, this is like is that I remember when I was in my entrepreneur group, there was this big push to grow the amount of revenue that you had to get in because everybody wanted to grow their business.
Yes,
And
I remember.
Remember we were together on that?
Yeah.
And so sometimes
I took on debt to grow.
Yeah, you want to make money. In order to make more money, you've got to spend more money, but you don't have the money to spend, so you take on debt. But then what you don't contemplate is, what if the revenues don't support the debt repayment? What if the job you get after you get out of your expensive college doesn't support your college loans? Debt is like carrying around 50 extra pounds. It is 50 unnecessary pounds.
Yes.
It is exhausting. It is painful. It is burdensome. It feels, and so to the extent that a person can make decisions, I mean, it's one thing if your parents are like, I'll take care of the debt, don't worry, but I wouldn't count on that either. Really evaluate both your relationship with debt as well as the impact that carrying that debt, not for a couple years, friends, but for decades can have on your happiness, on other decisions that you would need to make. I did not make the decision to take on more debt with the amount of consideration that I should have.
Agreed. Me either. You know what else really got me in my 20s? I was always rushing to catch up with everybody else. Like one friend had a kid. I need to have a kid, or the friend got married. I need to get married. And it's all played out the way it played out, but I look back and I think I rushed a lot of things to be on other people's timelines. I felt the pressure of the community and and it's so interesting because I have one set of friends where I was one of the last people to have kids. And then I have another set of friends where I was one of the first. So why was I playing this game? I never should have been so focused on I need to do the thing that someone else is doing. It really needed to be on my timeline. And yeah, and I look back and I'm like, I think I could have had a few more years without kids that I really would have enjoyed, and I had my first child at 30. It's not like I was, 21, but a lot of my friends didn't have kids for many more years after that. So I do think there are times where I looked at things, I felt pressured by other people's timelines, and it was all by me. They weren't doing any of the pressuring. I just felt that.
It's got worse now with social media where you see people and you perceive them living a life
Yes.
really appealing. but you don't really know what that life is. Right.
Right. Oh my gosh. And I mean, I can't even imagine how much of an impact social media might have on people putting unreasonable expectations and deadlines on themselves. Um, I would say I would avoid that at all costs. Courtney, are
Courtney,
we forgetting
yeah.
anything that you've
Well,
already just yeah,
have you run into, I was going to say, have you come across something where you don't know to do or not to do, or to consider or not consider? I mean, has there been anything where you were like, I wonder if I should now or not? Or I wonder if this is something that waiting this long time makes more sense versus not?
That's a question for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to answer that, but I do feel like I need to think on it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And you can come back to it. I think it's
yeah,
just,
I might.
yeah.
But that is a really good question. Let me sit with it for a little.
I was going to say, Courtney, is there anything already in your 30s that you're like, oh, I wish I did it a decade ago, that you're like realizing now?
I I agree with the workout thing. I think I've gotten into a routine of it now, which I'm really proud of, and I've been able to maintain. It would have been nice to do that sooner.
Yeah.
I did, sports growing up in high school, and naturally when that stops in college, you don't know what to do anymore because you go from playing a sport that you loved to like running on a treadmill. It
Ugh.
just
Yeah.
oh yeah. And so I was like, this is awful. So I didn't work out in college. I didn't work out when I graduated. And then finally I was like, this is just not good. I could just feel I don't feel well. And I found something that I really enjoyed, but I wish I found that earlier. I do Pilates now, which I really like. But when you don't know what your interests are, exercise wise, yeah, you think all it is a bike, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, and it's not for me.
And then when you're uninspired, you're like, I just want to ditch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think building that routine, and Pilates is a great one. It's not a fad that's going to go away. It's been around. Like, I
Yes.
do worry about some of these boutique exercise things that like become all the rage for 10 years and then disappear.
Right.
No,
And then
Pilates.
you're like, oh,
Yeah. I actually was at a graduation party and I was talking to a gentleman who teaches dance, and he is well in his 60s, maybe, yeah, late 60s. And we were talking about our Joseph Pilates relationship, and he was doing Pilates underground in New York in the 70s. And then I was doing it in DC in the 80s when there was just one
one
Pilates.
place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now it's like so ubiquitous. So I have something else. Again, it's a bit heavy, but that's why we're here to talk about real things, is to prioritize your mental health young, and to learn about who you are, even if it's not who you want to become, but learn who you are and what kind of self-care things you have to do for yourself, and consider who in your immediate surroundings in your peer group is impacting that positively or negatively. So I am different than a lot of my friends, that if I'm in a friendship that doesn't feel good to me, I don't care how many years they have been in my relationship, I will move along from that friendship. And I know, believe me, I have so many friends that will be like, that person's been in my life for 30 years and I can't just leave them because they, stress me out
Because
all
it's
the
been so
time.
long. Yeah.
And I want to be like, yeah, they stress me out all the time. I mean, I don't have to hate them, but I don't have to prioritize hanging out with them.
Right.
Like, I only want people in my life. And hell, I've got a problem because like I actually have that standard at work as well, which is part of some of what my transitions are, is that if I don't like the people I work with, like that does not work for me. But I really believe that a lot of people will just tolerate relationships that are subpar because of longevity. And I think that's not taking care of yourself first.
Agree. Um, you just mentioned something. I every like 4 or 5 years, I'm like, I should journal because I had those journals from high school that I had to do for that class. And this is what I think every time. But you haven't done it for the last 10 years. So now you're already missing those 10 years. So don't even bother. And then it's like, but you didn't do 20 years. I'm like, if I had just done it the first time I had this inclination, like in my early 30s, I would have now 17 years of journals to look back at.
Tomorrow is the first day of the rest of your life. Stop
Yeah.
making excuses, whatever it is. And Giovanni, he's always like, well, you didn't do it before. I'm like, okay, start over,
Go
start
with
over.
it.
I mean, I think actually alcoholics, people who have addiction, they have to like, tomorrow's the first day of the rest of my life. So like, and we haven't Forgive yourself quickly and frequently. Boom, get over that. And now start with whatever it is. I don't care if you haven't done it. I don't care if you failed at it 150 times. If you want to do it, start it again tomorrow, period. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the journaling thing, it's another thing about building routines in life. I think that's another thing that I have yet to figure out the routine of it. So there's probably 500 spiral notebooks around my house with 1 or 2 entries of a journal, which actually I should go rip them all out and put them together.
Yeah.
I'd at least have something, you know. And I
don't know.
also,
We're in our 51st episode of this. I think this is actually going to be part of our journal.
actually, you're right. And you know what? I think actually the big thing here is talking is my talent. Maybe writing is not my talent. So maybe it's just a voice memo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
to myself.
I mean,
think
Otter.
I'm telling
Let
you guys.
me tell
all
you
the
about
things.
a technology solution, Christine, that will
Yeah.
actually, Otter is the
Oh,
way.
I do know Otter. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll transcribe everything. And
Yeah.
I think the voice thing on your phone does all that now.
Yeah. And
AI's and everything.
And then ChatGPT will just write your book for you. Let ChatGPT do your journal.
Which, by the way, we are going to find a good AI course. One of our former clients from GW, you know who he is, Courtney. He emailed me this week and he said, "What's a good AI course? What do you recommend?" And I wrote back and said, "I need to find the good AI course too. Let's do that. I'm going to do that because it's moving so fast. If we don't even get basically the long and the short of it is they're basically saying if all you've learned how to do is throw shit into ChatGPT and get it back, you are not even scratching the surface of AI. You are like about to be left behind. And that's all I know how to do. And it's marketing and automation.
Sign me up. I want to be there with you, you guys. I want to be at the forefront of AI. I want that.
I want to take the courses. Okay, that's going to be my priority for today. And I'm going to say to the young folks out there, no matter what you do, I don't care if you're like, but I'm a physical therapist and I have to hold my patient's knee and move it. AI is going to come into your space in some shape or form. It's coming into everything. So I think if you're young and you are not learning about AI, you are going to really miss out on being an expert and being indispensable in any field. And especially if we're worried about losing jobs to AI, at least understand how AI works. So I think that is one of the most important things. But
I feel like we have definitely given all of our friends out in the podcast land lots to think about.
Yeah, they're going to have gorgeous skin and so much money in the bank, and we're going to be really jealous, Saphira.
I know.
We're going to be like, look at them with their perfect skin on vacation.
Absolutely.
Well, I think there's more to this than just what we covered today. I'm going to sit on it a little bit and think through what else I wish. Oh, I have one more. Don't ever use sun-in on your hair.
Sun-in.
Sun-in.
That makes your hair blonde.
Makes your hair turn orange.
Allegedly. Okay, so no sun-in. Yes.
No sun-in on your hair in your 20s. It looks terrible. I know it saves money, but don't do it.
Love it.
That's something I wish I had known in my 20s.
Love, love, love. Well, this is a fun little episode.
Yes.
And it made me have to think a little bit. And also to remind myself that tomorrow's the first day of the rest of my life.
I love that. Let's leave it there.
Have a wonderful day, everyone.